student in the class of operating system. Today we are going to discuss about the system structure of the operating system. So in this module, we are going to discuss different systems and the structure of that. So firstly, we are going to discuss about the operating system services. Then we are going to discuss about user operating system interface, then system calls, types of system calls, system programs, operating system design and implementation, operating system structure, virtual machines, operating system generation, and system boot. So this is the objectives of studying this module. So to describe the services on operating system provides to users, processes, and other systems. So basically, this is the first objective of learning this module. We need to know how operating system provides different services. What are those services to the users, process, and other systems. Nextly, we are going to discuss the various ways of structuring an operating system. By learning this module, we also able to explain how operating systems are installed and customized and how they boot. So these are the learning objectives of this module. So firstly, we are going to discuss about operating system services. So many services are provided by the operating system. So the many functionalities are there and all are useful to users. So firstly, the service provided by the operating system. These are the services provided by the operating system. So firstly, we are going to talk about the user interface. Almost all operating systems have a user interface. User interface is basically the platform where the user is to interact. The user interface can be a command line interface, it can be a graphical user interface, but there must be a user interface. So for example, in Unix system, mostly we are going to have a command line interface, that is CLI. In Windows system, we are going to have a graphical user interface, that GUI. Batch is another interface. Those are not commonly used by novice user or the normal user. Okay. So the next thing is program execution. The system must be able to load a program into memory and to run that program and execution either normally or abnormally. That means indicating error. So that this total thing is a service provided by the operating system. Operating system is going to take care about this total system. The system must be able to load a program into memory. So firstly, if a program have to execute, it should be loaded in the memory. And then the program execution start, that means run the program. And then after completion, end execution. Now this execution, it may be a successful execution, that means normal execution. It may be a failure, that means indicating the error, that means the execution ended abnormally. But all the things are monitored by the operating system. Next, we require what? IO operation. For execution of a program, not only the memory or processor is required. Input output is also a very important thing, because for many program execution it's required some value is going to be given by the user as input, and obviously after execution some output must be there. Okay, so the input output device come here. So the running program may require IO, which may involve a file or an IO device. Again, the operating system is going to handle all this. Now the file system manipulation. The file system is the particular interest. Obviously, programs need to read and write files and directories, create and delete them, search them, list file information, permission management. So the total thing, the file which is created for a personal interest where some related data are going to be loaded is going to be managed by the operating system again. Next, communication. Process may exchange information on the same computer or between other computers over network. That means the inter-process communication can be there, a remote process communication can be there. And it may be communication can be taken place via shared memory, or it can be taken place by message pass. But whatever it may be, it is going to be maintained by the operating system. It is going to be maintained by the operating system. So whatever communication is performed by the system, the operating system is going to handle that. If it is a shared memory communication, then also the necessary things are going to be done by the operating system. If it is a performed by message passing, then again the packets, those messages are going to be moved by the operating system. Error detection, a most important task performed by the operating system, because it needs to aware constantly of possible errors. Error may occur in the CPU and memory hardware. It can be in for IO devices, or it can be in user program. Operating system have to aware always where the error can be occur. For each type of error, operating system should take the appropriate action to ensure correct and consistent computing. Whenever an error is occur, obviously the operating system is going to take some action. Okay, and because the consistent computing must be going on. Okay, the debugging facilities can greatly enhance the users and programmers' ability to efficiently use the system. Now the next part, resource allocation. Basically, operating system act as a resource allocator. Whenever a multiple users or multiple job running concurrently, resources must be allocated to each of them. And there may be many types of resources available in the system. Some may be special allocation code like CPU cycles, main memory and file storage, and some may have general request or release code such as IO devices. But whatever it may be, it is going to be allocated and managed by the OS. Okay. Accounting. Accounting means what? To keep track of which users use how much and what kind of computer resources. What is the amount of uses done by a particular user on a particular resource? Okay, that is basically the accounting information. This is not a financial information. Suppose one process have been used, for how many CPU cycles they have used. Must be noted. It must be tracked. Okay, how much memory a particular process have used. It also must be tracked. So whatever resources, for whatever resources, it must be tracked, the users by a particular user. Next come a very important thing, protection and security. The owner of information stored in a multi-user or network computer system may want to control use of that information. Obviously, concurrent processes should not interfere with each other. So protection involves ensuring that all access to system resources is controlled. Only the authorized user can access a particular resource, and that authorization also can be given in different mode: read, write, and execute. So the access must be a controlled access. Security of the system from outsiders requires user authentication, extend to defending external I/O devices from invalid access attempts. If a system is to be protected and secure, precautions must be instituted throughout it. A chain is only as strong as its weakest link. Okay, so weakest link must be strong enough. So now we are going to discuss about all these functions separately. So firstly, I'm going to discuss about user operating system interface. So I have already discussed that user operating system interface can be of many types. It can be varied. So CLI, that means the user is going to interact in command mode. So CLI allows direct command entries. That means user can directly give the command. Sometimes implemented in kernel, sometimes by systems program. Maybe multiple flavors can be implemented sometimes by shells. Primarily fetches a command from user and execute it. Sometimes commands built in, sometimes just names of programs. If the latter, adding new features does not require shell modification. So the user is going to give command by command line. Command, specifically command is going to be given. It is not a click. A command is going to be written. And according to that, the user is going to interact with the system by writing command. Okay. But for user-friendly desktop metaphor interface, that is usually mouse, keyboard, and monitor. Icons represent files, programs, actions, etc. Various mouse buttons over objects in the interface cause various actions, provide information, options, execute functions, open directory, invented at Xerox PARC. So basically the user interface which is done on the mouse click. We are most familiar with this, okay? So many systems now include both CLI and GUI. In Linux you have both. In Windows also you have both. Okay, there is a command line interpreter also. Command shell is also there. Okay, in Windows we are not used to use that, but it is there. So GUI is there, and this is also there. Apple Mac OS X as Aqua GUI interface with Unix kernel underneath and shells available is there. Solaris is CLI with optional GUI interface. Java Desktop KDE is there. So nowadays many systems now include both CLI and GUI because both are depend on the user. Many kinds of users are there. Many types of users are there. It is actually the characteristics of the user. Just depends which kind of command, which kind of interface they want to access. Okay. So now we are going to discuss about system calls. So a programming interface to the services provided by the operating system. This is typically written in C or C++. Okay. mostly accessed by programs via a high-level application program interface, that is API, rather than direct system calls. Okay, so basically we are talking about the programming interface and application programming interface. Those are mostly we know mostly accessed by a API. Okay, so we are not directly system calls are directly used through the API. The system calls is performed. Three most common APIs are Win32 API for Windows, POSIX API for POSIX-based systems, including virtually all versions of Unix, Linux, Mac OS X, and Java API for the Java Virtual Machine JVM. Okay. So examples for system calls. System call sequence to copy the contents of one file to another. This is the source file and this is the destination file. So this is basically example system call sequences. Acquire input file name, write prompt to screen, accept input, acquire in output file name, write prompt to screen, accept input, open the input file. If file does not exist, abort, create output file, then loop, read from input file, write to output file. Until read fails, close output file, write completion message to screen, terminate normally. So these are the system call sequence. But if you use the API, we don't need to do. So consider the read file function in the Win32 API, a function for reading from a file. So it return a value boolean read file. So these are the parameters they are going to be given. So the description of parameter passed by read file is what? Handle file, the file to be read. Okay. So we need to give the name of that particular file. LP void buffer. This is basically a buffer where the data will be read into and written form. So if the file so basically we want to read a particular file by this read file function. So a buffer is there. So in that buffer, this LP void buffer, we are actually going to store all the data that is read from that particular file. Now D word bytes to read, the number of bytes to be read into the buffer. It must be specified how many number of bytes we are going to read. It may be the total files we don't want to read. Okay, so the number of bytes to be read into the buffer, it also should be specified. LPD word bytes read, this parameter is for the number of bytes read during the last read. Okay, and LP overlapped OVI, this is going OVL basically, this is going to indicate the overlapped IO is being used. So whenever you are going to use this function in Win32 API, this read file, so these are the parameters value we need to give. So typically a number associated with each system call. System call implementation, now we are talking about the system call implementation. So typically a number is going to associate with each system call. So system call interface maintains a table indexed according to this number. So by the number, basically the indexing is done in that particular table and system calls are going to be referred by that particular number. So the system call interface invoked intended system call in OS kernel and return status of the system call and any return values. The caller need know nothing about how the system call is implemented. It is handled by the operating system. So just need to obey API and understand what operating system will do as a result call. Most details of operating system interface hidden from programmer by API and managed by runtime support library. This is basically the set of functions built into libraries included with compiler. So user don't need to bother, the caller don't need to bother. The API is going to do everything on behalf of the program. Okay. So you can see this is a pictorial representation here, that this is the user application is running. So if something is required, then the open is done, the system call come in the system call interface. So in the system call interface, we can have many system calls are there. By the number, it is going to be identified and it is going to be open. So whenever it is open, so these are going to be automatically executed by the API, and the result is going to be returned in the system call interface. And from the system call interface, the user application is also going to have the result. So the user is not aware about all these things. Okay, that is basically handled by the API. Okay. So this is a standard C library example. C program invoking printf library call, which calls write system calls. Okay, basically printf is a function to which everyone is familiar with this function. So C program invoking printf library calls, which calls write system calls. So this is basically the suppose of C program is here. So it is include stdio.h, and then the main function is written according to the structure, and there is a printf function which is going to print greetings. So whenever the printf function is there, that means a library call is happened. So it is going to the standard interface, system call interface, and where we have basically the standard C library. So in the standard C library, we have a for printf, we have a write. So write function is going to be execute. So write is the system call which is going to be execute. Okay, so write system call is going to be executed, and whatever done required, that means the greetings is going to be written, and then it is again going to return to the standard C library, and from there the control come to the program. Okay, so how in this way the program system call is handled. Now system call parameter passing. In the previous example, there is no parameter passing is done. So now we are going to discuss system call with parameter passing. So often more information is required than simply identity of desired system calls. Exact type and amount of information vary according to the operating system and call. So three general methods are there for passing parameter to the operating system. The simplest method is pass the parameters in registers. In some cases, maybe more parameters than registers. So then in that case, it cannot be worked. So parameters stored in a block or table in memory, and address of block passed as a parameter in a register. Okay. So only the address of the block is going to be passed in the register. So this is not, so the number of registers is not a restriction in this case. Only one register is required for passing the address of that particular block or table, okay, in memory. So this approach is taken by Linux and Solaris. Now parameter placed or pushed onto the stack by the program and popped off the stack by the operating system. This is another approach. So block and stack methods do not limit the number of length of parameter being passed, but the simplest method, that is the pass the parameters in registers, obviously there is a limitation with the number of available registers. So this is an example for parameter passing via table. Here you can see the X parameters for call. So load address X in this particular register, and now system call 13 is done. So user parameter X, so code for system call 13 is here in the operating system. So use parameters from table X. Okay, so here the register's address is also passed with this value. So the operating system can access this memory register, and they know the address of the register where the parameters values are stored. Okay. So these are the types of available system calls. It may be a process control system call, it may be for file management, it may be for device management, it may be for information maintenance or for communication purpose. Okay, so for various purpose system calls can be used. So this is an MS-DOS execution. Here can be a at system startup. This can be there. There is a command interpreter and kernel, and running a when program is running, then the process is going to be loaded in the main memory. So you can see previously we have free memory. This is the free memory size, but now the program is running, so free memory size reduced. It is loaded in the memory. So here you can see multiple programs can be there. Process D is there, process C is there, process B is there. So multiple programs are in the memory, and free memory is also there, interpreter is also there, kernel is also there. So now we are going to discuss about the system programs. System programs provides a convenient environment for program development and execution. They can be divided into file manipulation, status information, file modification, programming language support, program loading and execution, communications, application programs. So these are the things, these are the supports are provided by the system programs. So most users' view of the operating system is defined by the system programs, not the actual system calls. Okay. So basically, this is the system calls for a Solaris DTS. So this is for the Solaris. You can see as an example, Solaris 10 in Solaris 10. So system programs provide a convenient environment for development and execution. We already discussed, and some of them are simply user interface to system calls. Others are considerably more complex. So file management is there, create, delete, copy, rename, print, whatever we can do with the files or directories, and status information. So it may be possible that some ask the system for information like date, time, then the amount of available memory or free space available, whatever the disk space is available or not, how much free disk space is available, what are the number of users currently using the program. So these are the status information also provided by the system programs. Maybe the detailed performance like logging, debugging informations. These are the detailed performance. So these are also going to be provided, okay? And typically these programs format and print the output to the terminal to other output devices also. And some system implement a registry used to store and retrieve configuration information. Okay, so these are the things done by there are other things also like file modification. So if we want to modify a file, the text editors to create, we have text editors to create and modify files, and some special commands to search contents of files or perform transformation of the text are also available. There are some programming language support also. The compiler, assembler, debuggers are there, interpreters are there. Those are sometimes provided for the programming language support. Program loading and execution is a very important thing. So the absolute loaders, relocatable loaders, linkage editors and overlays loaders, debugging systems for higher level and machine level language, those are all available. And communications between the process, okay, and between the process and user and process and systems, okay. So provide the mechanism for creating a virtual connection among processes, users and computer systems. So it's allow user to send messages to one another screen, browse web pages, send electronic mail messages, log in remotely, transfer files from one machine to another. So basically system program is going to provide you an environment where the system calls can work. Okay, so basically these are the things that I want to discuss for today's lesson. There are many other things in this module. I am going to discuss those things in the next lecture. So today we have discussed just a recap whatever we have discussed today. So mostly we have discussed about the operating system services, the services provided by the operating system, the user interface provided by the operating systems, the various types of user interface. Then we are discussing about the system calls and various examples of the system calls in various kind of systems are provided, and how we can implement it. So what is the API we have discussed, and again we have given some example, and system environment are discussed. System programs which is going to provide an convenient environment, that is also discussed, and whatever things is provided by the system program, those are also discussed. So these are all the things those are discussed today. In the next class we are going to continue the same module. So from them, for them, thank you, student.